3 words at the root of the world's problems. And God has been giving me for several weeks, I have pages and pages of notes of messages that I'm going to be giving and putting out. And I want you to know that my plan as of now is to come live every Friday morning unless there's a conflict in my schedule or the Lord tells me to do something different. So just be planning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Fridays. I'm going to be coming live, and I have pages of notes of these messages that God has put in my heart. 3 words at the root of the world's problems, really. We could name so many things that are going on in this world, so many things in our society, so many things in our personal home, in our cities, our towns, our neighborhood, because there's a lot of conflict that's going on. There's a lot of opposition against the truth and the way of Christ. And so we can all the way start from a conflict in our home, and we can go all the way with everything in the middle to a conflict involving war, okay? So what would be the root? What would be the common denominator that would be the connector for all of the situations, all of the roots? Everything, if you saw the little picture that I did, the graphic, I'm not the greatest graphic person, but there's lots of roots, but it's all connected to one main tree right in that photo. So what is it that's connecting all of this conflict? What is the connector that is at the root of the problems? Really, they all connect. And it's this: we lack self-control. And I got another word about this just a couple days ago. So after I share this portion, I'm going to explain something very, very pivotal and crucial to us as followers of the way, of those who are seeking to go deeper, and maybe those that are just wanting to change in our lives and want things to improve. Understand, let's just pick the topic of abortion. What is at the root of abortion? Lacking self-control. Two people met together somewhere and had passionate love-making sex, and life was birthed. Okay? Life occurred. But they don't want the responsibility of that. It wasn't the right time. They feel guilty and ashamed. We could go on and on. But the root of that issue is somewhere there was lacking self-control. We can talk about road rage, and that's crazy. The things that I've even been times, you get driving and somebody does something to you. You're in road rage. It's happened to me, and somebody lights your match, and I just can't believe that. And you do things you would never do in real life. You wouldn't act that way in a store. You wouldn't act that way in church. You wouldn't act that way in the grocery. But we're just going to go make sure and cut them off because they're stupid. Right? Or how could they do that? I'm going to show them. Lacking self-control. You're in a situation with your job and you're asked to sign some papers. Because after all, it's just, it'll balance out later. We need to get these books straight, or we need to have this situation. And you lack self-control and you sign your name. People that feel that they're called or chosen to go into government and to be in situation. Okay, I was in one this past week, just a couple days ago. I went to the Kentucky Capitol because it was the first annual Muslim Day. Okay, and there was several things going on. First of all, there was an individual who was Muslim, was intentionally harassing me. I didn't know him from Adam. I wasn't even talking. I was against the wall. I was minding my own business. And all of a sudden, he turns around and comes towards me, holds his phone, intentionally does this, snapped, got it. And I turn and I'm like, excuse me? Oh, got it, gotcha. It's going on the national website. I'm like, what? So I followed him. And at first, my heart was beating. I was like, what are you doing? Who are you? I didn't even know who he was. So a small exchange happened. He said, I can do this in public building. I can do what I want. He said, you got a problem? Go over there and ask that guy. So I go over there and I'm talking to this man and I'm telling him, I don't know what's going on, but this person's bothering me. And he goes, well, he really can take pictures. And then he stopped and he does this with his hands. Look, I'm a minister of the gospel. And he said, but I just have a job to do. And for a flash second, I thought, you just exposed yourself as a minister of the gospel But you don't have anything to say in this situation. You don't have anything to say in this environment that is infiltrated with Muslim people. I was in shock. That shocked me. And so here you are, that you're in a situation, there's people that are pastors and leaders in their churches or in their communities, especially if you're wearing the title of pastor and you're working in a secular job, or you're just working that as your job. And you are not speaking up. You're not doing the things that you're supposed to do. You're becoming very passive. You want to be neutral because you would much rather have your financial job than to have anything at risk for the kingdom. It's a little bit of a different message, but I was just in shock of the whole situation that happened. And if I had not been in check with the issue of self-control, it could have quickly gotten out of hand, and that's exactly what that man wanted. There's no doubt that's what he wanted. He did it probably 6 or 7 different times, different settings, all the way to the point of coming up to where we were seated. We were again minding our own business, and he tried to insinuate we were being asked to leave, and we weren't, but he tried to make us take that bait. And he had a cameraman with him with the camera at that hip. They were getting the shot of us seated in the chairs. They wanted a reaction. They wanted an explosion. They wanted me to have lack of self-control, but they didn't get it. My heart was beating, I was thinking, but I was in check. So we have the issue of road rage. We have the issue of conflicts with people at our jobs. We have issues of when money is sitting in front of us, or money is on the table, or somebody's purse or wallet. Okay, it's just right there. Can we have self-control? But if you look at all the way to war, the root of it is somewhere in this. There's the lack of self-control. We're told in James, the reason you have conflicts among you, you want something and you can't have it. It's such a simple sentence. You want someone to speak better to us. You want someone to do that. They should have done that. I want that. That belongs to me. That wasn't fair. I want that. And then we can go all the way into why we covet our neighbors, right? Because we're always in contest. We're always wanting to improve what we have because someone else seems to have something better. So here we are at the root of the world's problems. We're at the root of our personal problems. The root is the lacking of self-control. Lacking self-control. We must at all times have ourselves and our flesh in check. We can be in situation after situation. And if we have not mastered the issue of self-control, we will totally destroy our example. If I had reacted in that situation, if I had reacted poorly, if I had handled a situation at the store and somebody wasn't treating me right, or I wasn't getting my refund that I felt I deserved, and on these situations happen to us. People act, I hate to say that phrase, act a fool, but where does it all go? You just say, I can't explain it. I don't know what I was thinking. I just got so mad. It just ticked me off. It wasn't fair. I was tired of feeling lonely, and that woman looked so beautiful. I was tired of being ignored, and that man spoke to me, and he really understood me. And you throw everything out the window. You throw your life of serving the Lord and your reputation out of the window because of what? Lacking self-control. So if you understand, for example, in the book of James, read the book of James. It is so unbelievable what it's talking about with a person in the need of self-control. In fact, he says in, I want to read it exactly, 126, I want to read it right. This one is so profound. Listen to this. If anyone considers himself righteous, or a brother, you can say to a brother, yet does not keep tight rein on his tongue, he deceives himself, and his religion is worthless. Oh, you can quote scripture. Oh, you can dress if you feel that you're supposed to dress a certain way as a symbol of holiness. You can do all these things, and you can go week after week, but you've got a wicked tongue. You are a malicious gossip. Oh, you call it concern. Oh, you can tell what that neighbor's doing and shouldn't be doing. And it says, if you consider yourself a brother, you consider yourself righteous and holy, but you do not have control of the tongue, you're a liar. Can you imagine all the things you've done, all the things you believe in, all the things you've memorized, all the places you've gone, all the message you've given, all the notes and letters you've written, whatever it is, and you don't have control, self-control of this? You're a liar. It's worthless. Everything went out in the ocean, and there you are standing naked. You blew it bad because you haven't mastered the control of this. And in fact, it even says that it's like the rudder of a ship. Just think of a little bitty rudder of a ship. It controls the whole ship. And a man who has what? Self-control of the tongue. When he has mastered his tongue, it controls the whole man. Isn't that amazing? Control your tongue, and it masters. You've got the whole man tamed. The whole man becomes tamed. Think of the 10 Commandments. What are the, well, we can name when we recite them. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto me any graven image. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Honor your father and mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet against your neighbor's wife. Have you ever thought about this? There's 10 commandments. And then, of course, there were other laws. 10 commandments are all connected to one thing. The same root, common denominator. Self-control. Have no other gods before me. Control yourself and don't go running after that. Don't go putting that first before the love of your God. Don't go worship that. Don't look that way. Don't make that an idol in your life. Don't have idols. Don't make unto you any graven image and look upon it and gaze upon it. Honor thy father and mother. Don't misuse the Lord's name in vain. Honor your father and mother. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Do not steal. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not bear false witness. That's the tongue. Do not covet your neighbor. Every single one of these is connected to the 3 words. It's important that we do not lack self-control. Choose self-control. Follow these 10 guidelines, these commandments. They're not hints. They're commands of us. And it has to do with us being in self-control, control of ourself. And if you look in Galatians 5, the fruits of the Spirit are the results of self-control. And they are also an active action of self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, long-suffering, gentleness. You think it just lands on you? You think it's easy to be gentle in a situation when somebody, what did Paul say? When we're cursed, we blessed. When we're slandered, we answer kindly. That is self-control of the tongue, of the flesh, of the self. Be gentle in that situation. Be loving in that situation. Be kind. That's all controlling of ourself and our emotions and feelings. They are the fruit of who we say we are. And if we cannot have self-control, and if we cannot have visible fruit of this self-control, we're a liar. How quick, here's an example. I remember saying this to my children years ago. Let's just say there's a preacher up front in the church, and he's talking about smoking. Don't you smoke? Don't you get an addiction of tobacco? And he goes over to the side and lights a cigarette. How quickly will you just shut off what he's saying and maybe everything? I always say a little white lie will cause every bit of your truth to become in question. Don't compromise the control of yourself, the control of your tongue, the control of your heart, the control of your focus. Don't compromise it, because and you know that us believers, us holy people, we're being watched. God forbid we make a mistake. You can be in a setting, in a job or other situations. Oh, they can curse and carry on and do their stuff. and you make a slip up, the whole room goes quiet. And the first words, I thought you were a Christian. Thought you were a believer. Thought you went to church. Can you believe that? Because that quickly, because they know they're in the darkness. They know we're in the light. The scales are not fair. They're doing what they want, but we said that's who we were. We took on that identity, and they're watching. And so guess what? We slip. Boy, did they see it. Well, you better control yourself. Can you believe that she did that? Can you believe he said that? Can you believe he acted that way? He did what in traffic because he got mad? He went off and had an affair? How quickly? Oh, you lied? You lied under oath? Why did you lie under oath? Suddenly, all your truth becomes in question. Suddenly, all your walk becomes in question because you did not have control of the tongue and you became a liar. Everything went out the window. You can't be gentle. You can't be kind. You can't be long-suffering. You can't be peaceful. You can't be patient. Those are the fruit of self-control. So I want to encourage you. The root of what we need to have in our life, the root of the problem and the lacking of is the lack of self-control. Bullying. I mean, we just start naming the problems that are rampant, and peel back the layers. Lacking self-control. Control ourselves. No other gods before him. No graven images. Nothing else is more important than God. Honor your parents. Keep the Sabbath day holy. That in itself, whether you honor the Sabbath or you do it on a Sunday, what happened to that? Oh, but I have to work. No, you don't. Trust that he will provide for you. I remember when I was younger, I remember them voting to open the stores on Sundays. Makes me feel old. Can we not go 24 hours and just rest and honor him? Oh, but we need this, but I need to go get eggs. I've got to go get that. You don't even think about it anymore. We say that that's the day we worship on. What happened? The restaurants are packed. Don't want to get on that topic too far. But somewhere some people have forgotten. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Keep a day to worship him as holy. Self-control. Deny yourself. And I'm going to close with this. Here's an example. The Lord gave a revelation to me this week that I can't even tell you what it's done to my life. And it was an explanation about the tree that was put in the Garden of Eden. And the reason why, I've always thought, why that tree? Why was he told he couldn't do it? What was the deal? What is it? Oh, because they'd have knowledge of good and evil? It was deeper than that. Man had been given dominion over everything. Remember, this is before the fall. Dominion over everything. Even says that Adam got to name the animals. I always think that's kind of a funny joke. Hippopotamus. Of course, I'm speaking English. Giraffe. Orangutan. Just name all the names. He named them all. Everything. And how many thousands of names? Species and fish and animals and you name it. Trees and plants. He named them all. But there was one thing. He gave us free will. Gave Adam free will. But God knew that he must be able to be restrained. Self-control. So he said, you can do anything. You can eat of anything. You have dominion. But you may not eat of this tree. Restraint. Self-control. Understand, God cannot use someone who cannot be restrained. God cannot use someone who does not have self-control. Think right now of those of you that have a dog, a pet. But there's something about that pet that makes him a pet. If that animal had not learned restraint, he would be a wild dog. That's all he would be. But he has been taught restraint. You've taught him his guidelines. What about those gorgeous, beautiful horses? They have been taught restraint. And they can be massively used. But if they have no restraint, what are they? A wild Mustang, wild dog, wild wolves. These animals in the circuses or museums, not the right word, the zoos, these animals are restrained. Some have been taught restraint, and they can do these things and and they do motions they've been taught. If they were wild, we wouldn't be at the zoo if there were no fences. If there was no restraint in that area, we would not be in there. We'd be killed, trampled, munched on, snacked, and tossed around between them, and then the buzzards come for us. But there's restraint. So think in the Bible. Samson was given tremendous strength, but he was given one restraint. Don't cut your hair. So he gets involved with a woman he shouldn't have. He was instructed over and over. It's instructed, don't get involved with those women. Don't let your sons get involved with them. Don't intermarry. But she was beautiful. And guess what? He released the area of restraint, self-control. And she cut his hair. Think of Solomon was told an area of restraint, an area to be self-controlled, was having to do with women. And he had it all. He had all the wisdom. He had all the money. He had all and all and all. But he lost it when he gave up his restraint, when he released self-control. We must be people. And the opposite is true. Think of the 3 Hebrew boys. What happened when they chose self-control? When they said, no, I will not. What happened to Daniel? No, I will not. God always blesses us when we are obedient. Obedience is an act of self-control. It's far easier to say yes in that situation. It's easier to say no in that when everyone's saying yes. It's easy to jump in the bed with someone that's attractive. It's easy to grab that money. Listen, I always joked if I worked at a bank and I had to take a lie detector test, I would flunk just from desire. Like my mind, I probably would already be thinking how you would do it. My mind thinks like that. It's not that I am evil or conniving. I'm smart. And Martin Luther said it. People that are in my classes have heard me say this. Martin Luther said it wonderfully. And it's this way. We cannot control if a bird flies over our head, but it's whether or not it makes a nest or not. We cannot control when temptation arrives. I think that we can curb it by staying away and fleeing from sin. Don't go to that hotel room. Don't go to that person alone. Don't go to that meeting like that. Don't go to a room where money's sitting on the table right in front of you. Step away from it. But let's say you are in the situation. It's much easier to do it. That doesn't take much effort. It's quick. We're quick-minded. We're quick-witted. Money went in the pocket. Scrub a few things. Delete something that you did. Clear off a message. Cover it up. It's harder to say no because your body and your mind and your flesh and your mouth is screaming for you to do it. That's what's wrong with our society. That's what's wrong in the world. Lack self-control. You're attracted to someone of the same sex? It's okay. God is love. You want that, honey? You want to identify as a child? You want to say that pedophilia is okay? You want to say that that's okay? I understand. God is love. Go, everything is feeling. If that's how you feel, I understand. But the opposite of what we're instructed is to do is in the Word. Everything is about our response. Everything is about the control of self. Everything is about restraint. God can only use us if we are a man or woman with restraint. Self-control. You can have all of the power. You can have many visions. You can say that you're a prophet. You can say that God has gifted you. You can be on the radio. You can be a street preacher. You can be a person that's written and writes amazing books, amazing articles. Though I have what? Spoken the tongues of angels, but I have not love. You're just a clanging, rank, rank, clang, 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 clang. You may have all of this gifting, but if you are not a person with restraint, you're a liar. It's wasted. Many a people have had amazing callings, anointings, visions, dreams, but if I do not have self-control, if I cannot be a person that has restraint, I'm a liar. It's all a waste. Because the fruits of the Spirit shall expose whether or not I have allowed myself to be restrained, and I've allowed myself to choose self-control. If I've died to myself, and as the word says, if I've allowed my tongue to be tamed and controlled the whole man, but if I have not had self-control of my tongue, this man is a liar. I hope this word has encouraged you today. 3 words that is at the root of the world's problem, the root of our personal problems, the root of personal conflicts, the root of personal family issues. Somewhere in the mix, it comes to the 3 words: lack self-control. Be a person who openly and daily asks the Lord to help you, to have restraint. Allow God to use you. He's not going to pick someone who cannot control himself, who cannot be restrained. Think of the animals. They'll just be wild animals, but it's the ones that have learned restraint that do amazing things and become amazing and loved pets. Choose self-control. Many situations come to us every day. Many every day. We have forks at the road all day long. Are we going to reply or not? Are we going to have road rage or not? Are we going to be calm or not? Are we going to react or not? Are we going to take that or not? Are we going to forgive or not? Forgiveness is a choice. Forgiveness is an act of self-control. You have to tell yourself you're going to forgive and not listen to the feelings, that hurt me. And the things that they are justified wounds. But what will you choose to do? Will that rule you? Will those feelings be in the front? Will you walk with a limp, walk with crutches, and have something to blame? Or will you say, I choose to be restrained as a follower of the way. We are a peculiar people. We do it differently. We don't let our flesh and emotions rule us. We're not led by feelings all the time. If we're led by feelings, we'll kill each other, and that's what's happening. Think about what's going on in the schools. Lacking self-control. Lacking self-control. Issues with the legal system, the police, and the rioting. We could pick any topic, any issue. The lack of self-control. And who would want a child that you're raising up that has tantrums all the time? Well, I'm just going to let it run its course. Don't let it run its course. They're not in charge here. Think of a great big piece of marble, and it's a big block. You will chisel the shape of that child. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction will beat it from him. Oh, well, she's upset. Oh, he's upset. Oh, he doesn't like that. Tantrum, throwing, slamming. Then it becomes hitting. Then it gets worse and worse and acting out on the bus. We just keep going. And then they get older and they don't want to listen to the manager at McDonald's. I'm going to take that. I'm not going to pick up those French fries. I'm not going to sweep that floor. And it goes further and further, and you get a little bit older. and then you act out in road rage, and then you decide that you're going to take care of that situation, that person that hit you, that person that did you wrong. And all of a sudden, it goes further and further. And then we've got people in government that are acting ridiculous. Some issues are legitimate governmental issues. But the majority is just fighting. And, nobody's dying to self. Oh, we got to fight this out. We got to deal with that. We got to get even. We got to make sure we slander them back. We could just go on and on. I think I've said enough. So I want to encourage you. Make that your motto. I am a woman of God. I am a man of God who has restraint. I am a restrained man of God. I am a restrained woman of God. I have my giftings, but it is nothing if I do not show restraint and self-control. We are a peculiar people. We are a holy nation. Holy people. I am Esther. It's time to rise. Rise up as a holy person that understands restraint and self-control. God bless you, and I'll see you in a week.